to Misfit-Slime with your host, Food Alright, which is me, and we're going to be talking about the Sega CD today. I guess technically also we're going to be talking about the Genesis and Master System, Game Gear, all those, and even in a way 32X, but we're really here to talk about the Sega CD. That is the specifics, and we'll get into that right now, actually. So, one thing about the PlayStation. Say we're going to talk about Sega CD, and immediately I'm like, one thing about the PlayStation. One thing about the PlayStation, and really any, system that you have multiple discs on, I can't think of one system that you would need multiple cartridges. Well, the Famicom disk system, I guess, that has multiple cartridges. And just to let you know, easy tip right now, to switch discs within the Famicom disk system, I'll just show you, since we're here anyway, might as well. The little thing here. Alright, so we're gonna do Roger Rabbit for this one. Famicom disk system. I hold it like this, it looks like I'm holding on for dear life. Don't go! Don't go! Normally I would sit like this, but for recording purposes, it's a little bit different. So yeah, we're gonna open up Roger Rabbit on the Famicom disk system, and here it is. Now it's gonna tell me to switch to side B immediately, and we're gonna do that. So first, let's see what happens when I hit L1. It says eject disk before selecting. Alright, so we know that this is going to be to select. What we want to do is we want to hit R1. It says disk 1 of 1 ejected. Then we're going to select disk 1 of 1 side B, as you can see right there. I know it's very small. Then we're going to insert the disk. There we go. So it's R1, L1, and then R1 again. And let's see what happens. There we go. There's the game. Alright, so it's very easy. I kind of really like the way that they do it on the Famicom. Again, it's just hitting R1 to eject the disc, L1 to select the disc, and then R1 again to insert it. So if you think about it, R1 is the ejecting and the inserting, and then the L1 is the selecting. So bop, bop, bop should be good if you only have a 2-disc thing. If it's side A and side B, then there's also another disc with side A and side B. Then you might have to select more with the L1, but that's how you do it. Okay, moving on. I love the fact that you can just swap discs easily there. Just, R1, L1, R1, done. It's pretty easy. It's not going to be the same for a Sega CD, but with like PlayStation and all that, what you would do is you would go to swap disc. I can just show you right here. I'm going to just keep showing you things. So PlayStation, let's do, doesn't really matter. Even though Crash Bandicoot's only a 1-disc situation, the option will still be there. So as it's loading, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to hit pause. Alright, so with the PlayStation, it's very easy. You just want to come down here to Disk Control. This is in the regular quick menu, as you can see. And you click on Disk Control, and then you want to come down to Load New Disk. So what you do there is you'll basically eject the old disk, and you'll pick the second one this way. Now this, of course, is, as it says, a legacy option. Really, they want you to create M3U, have a playlist, etc. But you still have to switch the disc regardless. So this is how you do it. Come down to Load New Disc, pick the disc you want, the end. Alright? So that's PlayStation. Now, the Sega CD is a system that I have a lot of nostalgia for. I think that it's way underrated. I think that a lot of people hate on it because FMV, people just don't like FMV games or whatever. I think that Sega CD is a wonderful system that has a lot of weird and fun things on it if you don't take it too seriously. Does it have the most games on it? No. Are the games on it great? Not really. But are the games on it fun? Hell yes, they are. I remember going into Funkoland, I'm just dating myself here, but Funkoland back in the day, and there was, they used to have the game set up the same way that GameStop used to do. They used to actually have the games all set up for each system, and you could go around and play them and test out the different systems and such. Well, Sega CD had just come out, and for some reason, instead of like showing Sewer Shark or any of those, they had The Adventures of Willy Beamish playing there. For those of you who don't know, it's an adventure game for the PC, and of course the Sega CD. Now, the Sega CD version really can't be compared to the PC version. It's got a lot of limitations, but it, for some reason, really hooked me. I bought the system because of that one stupid game. I always loved adventure games growing up, King's Quest Space Race. I'm going to do a whole thing on adventure games one day, but Not today. Anyway, we're here to talk about how to swap discs on the Sega CD, right? So anyway, so once we get in here, here's the Adventures of Willy Beamish, you see? We're going to go to Sonic the Hedgehog CD. I don't know why it is called that there. It should just be Sonic CD, but whatever. We've gone through this one before, but I want you to hear something. Okay, we're going to hit the start, and I'm going to show you something right now. So we're going into the quick menu. Now, if you want to switch discs, it's going to be the same thing. Oh, wait. What happened? Where is it? There is no switch discs in Genesis Plus GX, which is what comes with the new firmware. There aren't that many games that have multiple discs, but there are a few. And you can't play them on this emulator. You just can't do it. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to set up Picodrive to play your multi-disc Sega CD games. And then you might have to make a choice. You could have both, you know, one as a multi-disc system and one as your regular system, or you could put all your Sega CD games in Picodrive. But there may be a problem with that, because remember that sound issue we had back in the day? Let's, when I say back in the day, I mean just a couple episodes ago. Let's resume and let's hear. Oh, the sound is perfect. Why? Here's why. We're going to come right down here and we'll go to options. Now, you did see me change the sound from stereo to mono in the last, or again, 2 videos ago, the one where we did the audio test. At the very end, you saw that I changed it, but that was with the old emulator. Now, that emulator is still technically on here, and if it's not, if I'm wrong about that, you should have backed it up like I told you to in the previous video, but you don't need that, because right in Genesis Plus GX, we can do that too. So let's go down to right here. Now you can see it's a sound output mono. When you turn it on, it's going to be on stereo, because most things play on stereo, but the PocketGo S30 does not. So you're going to switch it to mono, and then you're going to have no problem. It's going to come out in that mono. That's for everything. That's for Genesis, Sega CD, Master, everything that plays on the Genesis Plus GX. Basically every Sega system, with the exception of Dreamcast, which plays on Flycast, and 32X, which plays on Picodrive. Now, here's the rub. This emulator, Genesis Plus GX, has the sound output, no problem, but the Picodrive does not. So you have to make a choice. Do you want mono sound so you don't have to, you know, miss out on little sound cues like we just did? Or do you want the ability to switch discs? It's a give or take. If you have a double disc game, you have to use the other one, which means you're going to have to deal with having a lesser grade sound, because it's going to be in stereo, and this system is not in stereo. No matter what you do, even if you plug in, as you heard last time, we plugged in the speakers directly into the system, and it still played out only of one speaker with a little bleed into the other one. So that's not going to work. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a Sega CD multi-disc file system, emulator, whatever you want to call it, in our SD card, which means we're going to have 2 for now. And you can do whatever you want. This is just how I'm going to show you, so we can go back and forth and check. But let's take a look now. Let's go onto the computer and figure out how to create a second emulator for the same system.
All right, so let's set up Picodrive as a second emulator for the Sega CD. We already have it set up for the 32X, but let's see what we can do here. And then we'll try to do some tests and see how it comes out. So originally I had reverse engineered this and figured out how to put the Atari on here. And then I tried Jaguar, which worked, but I had to I'm going to put it on again at some other time. It worked, but it didn't run. Like it started, but nothing really ran. It was all, it was basically the same as a Dreamcast. So let's go to sections. All right, there's only one thing to go into here, and that's emulators. So now if you look, this is your list of emulators right here. There are, disregarding 98 and 99 because that's RetroArch and the shutdown, there's 65 different emulators, it would seem. But as you look over here, there's really 92. And that's because in this build, they're numbered such as 2, 2, and 2 for the 3 different CPS systems. Now, if you want to hide any of these systems, all you got to do is create a new folder, And you could name it whatever you want. You could just write backup systems or something like that. And then all you have to do is drag and drop it. So if you don't want Pokemon Mini, you throw it right in there. And now it won't show up because the PocketGo S30 doesn't read folders. I don't want to do that, so I'm just going to put this right back in Emulators. There you go. Close that up. And delete that. Okay. So, how do we do this? Well, let's look for the Sega CDs. Here it is right here. All right, now, this is not labeled as anything. It's just a file. What we can do is open this up as a text box. And what I also want to do is this as well. I'm going to open this up as a text box. Why? Because this is the Picodrive. This is what we want to use. So, let's start by opening the Sega CD. All right, so let's minimize this so we can just look at this in general. Now, this is what's pointing the PocketGo S30 to your emulator and the games and all that stuff. So you have your title here, your description. You don't have to worry about the icon. The wallpaper is important right here because we are going to need to put that in or else it's not going to show on the PocketGo S30. So if we want to have two different Sega CDs, we're going to need to download another image or use a different image that's already on here, which we're going to do for now, just to, show you. I mean, you could technically just use the same one twice, which is kind of what they did for the Nintendo 64, but we're going to fix that too eventually. But for now, so we're going to keep this because we want it to open RetroArch. Leave everything else. Leave that. Leave that. Okay. This is all your stuff right here, and this is what's going to send it to the core, the specific core, right there. Now, if you want to use Picodrive, all you have to do, besides changing some of this, because we're going to have two of them now. So I guess what we're going to do is write, let's say, Sega CD Pico. For now, what I'm going to call it is Sega CD Multi-Disc. Eventually, because that's what's going to be in here is just the multi-disc. This is where I want to go if I want to switch discs. In fact, let's just call it that. Sega CD multi-disc. Or how about just multi-CD? Sega CD multi-CD. That's nice. But now we're going to have to change other things too. So we're going to change this to Sega CD multi. And I know there's another one here for the ROMs. There it is. ROMs, Sega CD, multi. And we'll keep that like that. Leave it as is. And before we save it, we're going to have to change the core. So let's open up the other one. And all we have to do is copy this entire thing. Technically, you only have to copy the core. But just in case there's a little difference or whatever, let's just do... Well, in fact, let's take a look and see what it would look like. Boom. So as you can see, it's exact, right? It's literally exact except for that. So we're going to get rid of Genesis plus GX. Now it's gone. Now we don't want to just save it because if we just save it, we're going to lose the other one. So what we want to do is save as, and you can see it come up right over here. All the other ones. And what we're going to do is we're going to keep it at 14 just, for fun. And we're going to change this to 14 Picodrive Sega CD, and we're going to save that. Now, let's close it down. Close them all. And change these. Oops. All right, change those, get them back, and now we're going to have one more text down here. And I always like to just do that, put it in the right spot, make sure everything's good. And it is, of course, let's take away the TXT. Now we almost have our emulator, but before we do anything, we have to make sure we set up the wallpaper too. So let's go to Skins, Default, Wallpapers. And of course, you're going to see our Sega CD right here. And it's covering it. That's the Sega CD right there. Now, if you want to differentiate between the two, which you can do, you can just come up to the minimalist one or whatever you want to put your own in. So we're going to come down to Sega CD here. There we go. Copy and paste. All right. Now we have a copy of it right there. We're going to change this to Sega CD. What did we call it? Sega CD Multi. That's what it is. And so we'll copy that and we'll move it right there. So now we have the Sega CD Multi there. Now, we're not done because there's nothing to point to our ROMs folder, nor do we have any in there. So let's come over here. We're going to do new folder. And we're going to, again, do Sega CD multi, right there. All right, let's make sure it's all in order. There's a Sega CD, there's a Sega CD multi. So now all you want to do is go into your Sega CD folder, select whichever ROMs you want to move over to your Sega CD multi folder, and either move it or copy and paste, depending on what your situation is. If you want to test out each game on each system, go for it. But in our case, we're going to just test out Sonic CD on both systems. So just copy from your Sega CD file, Sonic CD, move it over to your Sonic Multi, and paste it in there. We'll have both of them, and then we can test on both. So let's go back to the PocketGo S30 and test these out.
Alrighty, we are back now, and let's see what we have. So this was the original Sega CD file. Here we go. This is the new one. So if we click it, we're going to see Sega CD, Multi-CD, just like we said. There's the bin and the queue in here. Now I know in the other one it doesn't say bin and queue, and that's because we scraped it, and there's a game file in there that just points it to the name. We actually can change this to only have one file. The only reason I haven't in the Sega CD file yet is because for some reason there are certain games that only play from the bin and some games that only play from the queue. I haven't been able to fix that as of yet, but I will, and then we'll talk about how to change it so we only see one file at a time, just like we do in some of the other systems. But for now, we're going to go to Sonic CD. Now you can see it looks a little bit different because the Picodrive starts out a little bit differently. And there we go. That same issue with the sound. So let's see if we can change the stereo. When we go down, I mean, spoilers, I already told you we can't, but so we go to options, and then you're going to see we don't have the option to change from stereo to mono. We could change the audio filter and give it a low pass filter like Sega CD should have, yeah, you know, but regardless of that, we cannot change the stereo mono, so you are losing out on that. However, what this does have is disk control, and there's our load new disk right there. So if you want the option to load a new disk, you're unfortunately going to have to sacrifice the sound. Again, if you want to keep two Sega CD files in there, I mean, that's up to you. I don't mind being bogged down with tons of systems. I can hit back and forth as much as possible with no issue. But everybody's different. You might not like that. I would completely understand somebody not liking that. It's very annoying, and there's tons of, as we said, there's 91 systems here, now 92 with this included. So, yeah, it's enough. But if you really want to play your 2-disc Sega CD games, this is the way you're going to do it. So now let's test and see what the quality between Picodrive and Genesis plus SX? Oh yeah, Genesis plus X, eh? No, Genesis plus GX. So let's see the difference here. We're just going to play out the intro and maybe play a little bit and see what happens. Just skip all that. Now, I'm not really playing for real right now. I'm only doing this for you guys and just testing out everything. Now, this feels fine. The Picodrive is feeling, oh, I'm not even paying attention as I said. You know, it feels like Sega CD. Nothing's really bad about this. I'll shut up though while you watch. Alright, and now let's play it on our other Sega CD. Isn't it weird how one of them has the Sega CD logo at the top and one of them doesn't? Jeez, the sound. Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to figure something out. Calm down. Hey, stop it. Fuck you. Alright. The sound is really pumping there. Let's see what happens if we do change it back. Just, you know, for our own shits and giggles. Let's change this back to stereo just to see. Does that sound worse? I mean, we don't want it on stereo anyway because the system doesn't play stereo, but I feel like that sounded worse. No, it's about the same. So there's your Picodrive versus Genesis plus GX. They're pretty much the same. There's not really a problem with one that there isn't with the other. I know we didn't go back to the past in the other one, but the sound is very overblown coming out of the system because it's not stereo. And that's going to be the case on both emulators. But at least you have an option now for if you want to swap discs in Sega CD. And I believe all the other disc systems do have that option. If I do come across something that doesn't have it, I will let you know, but that's how you're going to do it. I mean, technically, you could use the method that we use to make a favorites list. Now, it would have to be within the same system in that case. If you want to do a multi-system favorites list, we'll talk about how we do that in RetroArch another time. But in terms of it being the same system, if you wanted to make your own favorites list involving just games in one system, you could easily do that. You could go over to the Game Boy and be like, these are my favorite games on Game Boy. I'm going to make a Game Boy favorites menu that's, you know, in addition to the one that we have. This one can say Game Boy, the other one can say Game Boy favorites, as long as you make sure that you know, make the right artwork and put it in the right spot and name it the way that we just did with the Sega CD. Easy. You can create as many things as you want. Completely up to you. Again, we can't do multi-system because of obvious reasons, but if you want to do a multi-system favorites list, hang on, we will talk about that in RetroArch. Until then, this has been Food Alright, signing off for Misfit-Slime. Have yourself a good week, everybody.